Welcome to David and David on Real Estate. Join us as we explore the ins and outs of the real estate market.
Good morning and welcome to the David on David podcast, episode number 25. Wow. And
That's
today we have Jonathan, and today I'm not going to butcher his name.
Just say Jonathan, chosen lawyer. That's it. I don't even tell people my last name anymore. Just chosen lawyer. If I'm on Instagram, chosen lawyer.
I refer to him as
last name anyways, right?
I refer to him as Jonathan Hachosen.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, just to combine everything.
Lawyer.
Yeah.
Thank you, gents, for having me back. It's an honor. I think I'm the first repeat guest, even.
Yes.
You are the first repeat
That's
guest.
why we're calling this episode 25 instead of episode 24, part 2. So we can officially have you as like this is your second episode.
Well, prepare for this one. I did what Hulk Hogan does. I trained, said my prayers, ate my vitamins, got a good night's sleep, and I was ready to go.
Bright and early.
Well, that's what we want.
We had so much great topics to talk about, and today we're going to peel back even more layers and then get into business development and marketing 101. But before we do, I wanted to give everybody a quick market update. We're in December, a couple of days before Christmas, and the real estate market is still on fire. We're still seeing multiple offers. Last night at the office, there was a listing that one of my agents was putting in an offer on. The listing was listed at 1.1 million, and the offer that my realtor was preparing was over 1.5 million. So over $400,000 above the asking price. Now, David Korman and I had a conversation before we started recording, and we both said, well, you know what, that's probably not a realistic sales price to begin with, because it was, the sales price was severely under market value, and the seller is going to get a lot closer to what the market value is for that property. But we are seeing these type of tactics being used to sell properties. And of course, the big issue right now is still the lack of inventory. So in the month of November, we already had record low inventory. And the month of December, we're seeing even 23% less listings come on the market. Still a lot of demand, still a lot of buyers looking. We're still seeing multiple offers, but supply is the big issue that we're seeing. And there's just no inventory out there, literally. And whatever does come up, we are seeing buyers come in a big way and write up offers. So my office is still really busy. And I know David Korman mentioned that their law office is extremely busy as well. And it's unprecedented times in the month of November for real estate.
Yeah, when I think about what it was last year compared to this year, last year, because of what was going on in our COVID market conditions, November, December was really like the springtime all of a sudden, because our spring, summer got put on hold. So everything got moved over. So we felt that kind of shift. This year was more of somewhat normalcy, where it was more consistent. So this is where we're seeing more what we'd seen in November, December, but certainly if there was more inventory, there'd be a heck of a lot more transactions, but they're still coming in. Not much different than what we talked about last week, as far as I'm still seeing lots of new construction, lots of resale condos, reviewing status certificates, and a ton of assignments. This is unprecedented amount of assignments that are coming in. People buying people's contracts because they're saying, I can't find something, so I'll buy your new deal.
Yeah, we got another assignment last night, Jonathan. I'm going to send it your way to handle because that's coming in, and that's purely a function of the market right now, right? That some people are getting stuck and they got to find a way out, and that's the assignment market. It's also the fact, assignments. A lot of these places were sold 3-5 years ago, right? 3 to 5 years ago, and people's plans change in that time period. And and maybe some of these should have closed 2 years ago, and now they're closing now. So there's always that to factor in. But December is a funny month for us. I was telling David before we got started here too, because as a law firm, like we're trying to do everything in 3 weeks, because we get to the point we're pretty much at this week that we've lost a good chunk of our staff to holidays this week, next week, like the week of before Christmas, the week before New Year's. So we're shorthanded because people are taking holidays. And then we got the holiday days that factor in there, and we really do a month's work in 3 weeks. So it puts a lot of pressure on everybody that is working. So it becomes a really busy, stressful month, even though, you know, the volumes aren't what they are in June, July, and August, and things like that.
Yeah, and I'm finding it's like every other year. You know, I had a friend of mine I work with him. He's a realtor, and he messaged me and he says to me, "I need to close this next day or so. Da da da. Can you put this on the top of the pile?" And I said, "Listen, I have about 50 crazies, not you excluded, of course, but everybody is just like, you know, wrapped up with their transactions. They think they're the only ones. You must have nothing to do because it's Christmas. Can you just do this on a rush right away?" And yeah, you know, when everybody's on holidays, everybody wants their stuff done, and you know, banks are going to be closed for periods. You know, registration system. You got to be a little realistic in this. Like, you know, there's a bit of a lineup here, and we're trying to, you know, service everybody certainly, and we do our best with it. But we only have two hands at the end of the day, and you know, it's Dave and I talk about it all the time. It's end of holiday seasons, end of the year, end of the month. I feel like every month, regardless, like 29th, 30th, I'm standing there and trying to calm everybody down and tell them, listen, it's going to be okay. I know it feels overwhelming right now. By tomorrow, will be fine. And then we'll be good until the next end of the month. But it's the same feeling. And so because a lot of businesses, people, they're shutting down, they're winding down. So they're thinking, oh, the law office must be the exact same thing. The realtor office must be the exact same thing. Whereas we're going like gangbusters right now.
And Jonathan, that's a great message you're sending to the market and to realtors and to agents, because it all starts with us at the end of the day, right? And we need to set the proper expectations. We need to guide our clients, you know, properly through these times so they understand these timelines, right? We're all a team, right? We try to push that point with our realtors all the time. You know, the real estate office, the mortgage broker, the lawyer's office, we're all a team working together for, you know, the benefit of our clients. And, you know, it has to be a collective effort. And I think, you know, understanding timelines and setting timelines properly and setting expectations properly starts with the realtors.
1000%. I can tell you that I've had realtors, mortgage brokers, and their clients are getting worked up. This should be done in 2 days, and and they have no realistic expectation of what's going on. And the realtor and mortgage broker are festering into it, and they're turning just into their clients. And I said to them, hold on a minute, scale back. You need to set it, like you said, you got to set the expectation, because now if you're feeding into it, you should know better. You've done this for 30 years. Like, why are you becoming like this? By the time you come to me, you should have calmed them down. But now I'm calming you down and calming them down. And if I'm telling them something different than you, it's making you look bad because it seems like you don't know what you're doing, you know, and that's not a good look either. A professional in everything, you know, in relationships wise, if we scale this back, professional or personal, like when I talk to my staff, I talk to my clients, it's two things: expectation and communication. That's the secret to relationships. That's how everything's going to flow. If you've set an unrealistic expectation and you've communicated that way, you set it off on a really bad train. If you could set a great expectation from day one, what do you need done? When do you think this should be done? Here's when it's really going to be done. And then try to meet or beat that expectation. By the time they get to the lawyer, by the time it closes, they're feeling really good, rather than, hold on, my expectations are not getting met. My agent said that you should be able to do this. You know, and my neighbor said you should be able to do that. My coworker said this is all it should cost and this is how long it should take. So I said, when they tell me that, I said, by all means, go to your neighbor, go to your coworker, ask them to close your transaction. Oh, wait a minute, they're not a lawyer. Ah, okay. So maybe you should be asking a lawyer how a lawyer should be done, not, you know, the Joe Schmo across the street. But again, people have unrealistic expectations. But if we can walk them through as professionals, even if we get them and they're damaged and they already think it should be done in a different way, once they get it, they're like, okay, now I see it. And I, for myself, when I finish a conversation, I always like to send an email saying, it's really great to speak with you, just laying out again, so they can't come back to me and tell me, well, you told me this, you told me that. No, I told you very clearly. There's the email from November 17th. And then they're feeling good about it. And now we're on a good track together.
Yeah, I think this whole feeling comes from a position of scarcity versus a position of abundance. And look, it's a tough market out there, right? Like the realtors, you know, some of them are submitting 30 offers before their client finally wins the house. And, you know, when they get that offer pushed through, you know, then they're like gangbusters, right? But what they don't remember, or what they forget, is that, you know, it's not about them, it's about the client. right? And I think when you have, when you come at this decision from a position of
Abundance.
abundance, not scarcity, right? And you approach in a professional way and you focus on relationships and setting the right expectations, then everything flows. And ultimately the client experience is completely different.
I look at these things as opportunities to develop relationships, because like this time of year, we get a lot of calls in the office saying, we got a closing, it's got to close before the end of the year, or it's got to close the next few days. And the lawyer that my client usually uses can't get it done, can't do it. Can you guys do this? And even though my answer would be like, I'm going to get killed. I don't know which clerk to give it to, which associate lawyer to get involved with this. Like everybody's up to the max, but we're going to find a way to get it done. Let's try to be the hero here and try and get it done, because it's good for the buyer or that seller. It's good for the client. It helps them out. It helps the agent out big time. And that helps us create a relationship with both the agent and the client. So if we can be the hero, we try to be the hero. And we've got a whole bunch of those. And that's why we're as busy and as stressed out as we are right now. And our staff's ready to kill us, because we keep taking on more. And it means, okay, we need certain people that are working right now, got to work overtime, got to do what you got to do, get this done, because that helps us be the hero on the transaction. So if we can do that, we do that. And we've taken over a bunch that they've really shopped around for other lawyers, and other lawyers said no. So if they're saying no, when I don't think they're going to go back to those lawyers. They might try to, but they might be really happy with our service and never have a reason to go back. So I look at it as an opportunity. And, then we just got to, work our way through it and try and manage our own staff and our own people about, dude, on the other hand, we have turned down certain work also in recent days, because, I just turned down a large commercial transaction because it's just impossible. And there's no other lawyer that's going to get it done in the time frame they're looking to do it either. So you have to look at each one, but where someone has a problem, somebody else can look at the same thing as an opportunity.
And I love that message from a business development point of view, because it's such a strong message out there, right? And again, it's capitalizing on the opportunity and strengthening relationships and coming through for the client. But it's so much bigger than that, right? Because it's not that one transaction where is sent in today, which of course means a lot, but it's all the future business that comes with that business that comes in today as well, that you guys go above and beyond. And I think it's such a strong message for other law firms out there, trying to grow their practice, trying to grow their business. People will always remember from a customer service point of view when you go above and beyond, right? That's when referrals come in for realtors as well, right? Like a realtor can do a great job, but then, not follow up after the transaction closes, and, not take that extra mile to build the relationship. And then they always wonder, well, I did this great job, and they did a fabulous job for their clients, but they're asking me like, why am I not getting referrals? And my answer is because you didn't go above and beyond and made it super memorable. Like you didn't knock it out of the park, because they're going to remember if you knock it out of the park.
Absolutely. Right.
But that ties right into our topic. Like that's a big part of marketing and client development, right? It's not just doing the bare minimum to get a job done. It's how else are you adding value to the process to make you memorable, to make them want to refer you, right?
You could take on the extra business, right? But unless you do a superb job, even though you're busy and you guys are, clearly at overcapacity, right? That's going to turn into a negative situation, which won't result in more future business. Right. So it's a fine balancing act. Like you want to take on the new business, but you also have to knock it out of the park for those clients and have a good experience for them to come back. Otherwise, you're just spinning your wheels. Right. And I think that's where the exceptional business has to be set up on the back end. Your accounting department, your admin department, your communication, your the whole thing has to be wrapped in really nice bubble paper, and every single one of your staff member has to buy into that, to that culture.
I look at two aspects of what you're saying now, and I agree with both of you. It's the one aspect of is once that business is coming to you, Can you take on that business? Can you do it successfully? Can you do it to their satisfaction? I had a mortgage broker message me yesterday. I need to put on a second mortgage for a client. Can you close it tomorrow? No, that's not going to happen till January because it's not needed. And next week is a very short week. Again, many people are on vacation. Be realistic. Okay, so January 3rd, let's get it done. January 3rd is a holiday. So we're going to get it done on January 7th, the Friday. Give it, okay, so cool, let's do it. Done. I'll send it to you tomorrow. That was a good back and forth. But where I'm still thinking from a big picture standpoint, and even you have a law firm watching this right now, a realtor, a mortgage broker, you still need that phone to ring. You still need the opportunity to somebody present you business before you can even decide if you could take that business, can you do it successfully, and then make the systems in place to funnel it through. You know, for a lot of people starting off or people even still in the business, during these times, there are people, unfortunately, professionals that don't have business. They don't have the phone ringing, and they're saying, what can I do to get business in? What is my marketing 101, you know? And that's a big challenge because here, you know, we're lucky at Kormans, you know, people are finding us from Google searches and they're looking up real estate lawyer and they're finding us because we're putting the right things into Google and people are able to locate us. That's great. But a lot of people don't have that luxury. And usually it's like Mr. Gorski said here, it's word of mouth. If I actually said what my best source of clients is and best referral source, it's people that originally had no choice but to work with me. So I have a client, they're buying a property and they have a realtor. That realtor recommends their own lawyer and they're saying, no, we're going to use my lawyer. So now that realtor has no choice. They have to work with me because the client insisted and it's their choice. And then by the end of the transaction, the realtor says, wow, I've never seen so much responsive service here. You messaged me back right away. You let me know how things are going. I felt like I was in the loop. You called me when the day to close and told me to actually close. I've never had that before. Can we work together going forward? And here, sure, we can. I never asked them to work with me. I never pushed it down their throats, but they were a captive audience. I built a good relationship, and then it just kind of happened that way. I had lunch yesterday with a good friend, also in the business, and we'll call him Jorge. So Jorge and I are having lunch, and we're talking about this stuff, marketing, sales. And he told me, I think the best compliment I ever heard. He said to me, you know, you would have been really good if you had gone into sales. I think you'd been really successful at it. So I looked at him, I leaned over, I said, I actually am.
Every day.
And he thought about it. He said, you're right, actually. We're not that much different. And when you're in sales and people don't even realize you're in sales and not feeling it, then you sold successfully. Absolutely. Yeah. It starts from where David G said about abundance. You start off that way. And then from there, you're not going to sell to somebody. You're not going to shove it down their throat. Please buy my product. Please buy my service. You have to work with me. Don't go to anybody else. No. I'm here to build a relationship with you. Let's get to know each other. What are you about? And some of the best relationships I had professionally, they never send me business themselves, but they tell everybody else. So again, we're repeating the message, but we can't emphasize that enough. Emphasize marketing is not marketing. It's building relationships. From relationships and trust and respect, business will come.
Yeah, and you also have to be confident in yourself and the products and the services that you provide, right? And I see this gap in the real estate industry a lot with realtors. You know, I see some exceptional realtors undercutting their commission. And I always say to them, guys, you cannot service your clients the way they expect to be serviced if you're undercutting your commission. You just cannot do it. Because in order to really provide that exceptional customer service, you know, you have to have the funds available to go the extra mile. After closing, if the garage door breaks down, right? What do? Do you send them a letter from a lawyer's office, say, hey, the garage door broke down. Can you fix it? It's your responsibility, right? Or do you call your garage door, pay for a service call, have the guy there within an hour, fix the garage door, and you know, and what's a better level of service, right? But if you don't have the funds to make that call because, you know, you undercharge your commission and now you're taking food off your table to go service your clients properly, you know, that turns into a negative experience.
Yeah, I think no different your business than our business, David. If you are providing a service at a discount, the natural tendency of the provider is to provide discounted service. When you know that you're going to get paid for everything that you're going to do, and if you kill yourself to get the job done to the best it could be done, but you're going to get paid for it, you just keep going. And the natural tendency is to provide that level of service. So it's the old adage, you get what you pay for, right? You want stuff at a discount, if you're getting a discount, you're going to get everything at a discount. You're getting the service is discounted too. You're not getting the same level of, and there's no difference if you're a real estate agent or if you're a lawyer. When a lawyer, when we get something, oh, can you do this at this rate, and only charge us this, okay, maybe we'll do that. But I'll tell you, it affects the way we respond to things and the way we deal with things. Like, you don't feel naturally like you want to go that extra mile for that person. They don't want to pay you to do it. So why should you spend your resources for that person when someone else will pay you your proper rate?
And you have a finite amount of time and a finite amount of resources as well,
Exactly.
right? And what the client, especially like, you guys are already at capacity, right? You're already at capacity. So, are you going to take work from somebody that's, haggling on fees, or are you going to take work and provide that exceptional service for somebody who pays and believes in the service that you guys are offering?
I can tell you that I've had people, and I give the metaphor all the time. I tell them, okay, you're not going to take the quote from the Kia dealership over to the Mercedes dealership and try to get now a Mercedes for the price of a Kia. It doesn't work like that. There's a reason why you go buy a Kia. There's a reason why you go buy a Mercedes, and when I get undercut where, okay, can you do this for half the price? I tell them, look, you know what? You probably want somebody fresh out of law school. Maybe it's a law firm over a convenience store. That's what you want. Because at the end of the day, if David and I, we have a team of lawyers. We have 7 lawyers. We have 30 admin with clerks and bookkeepers. When you have a sole practitioner, what if they're sick that day? What if they're in court that day? They're doing multiple things. They're not available. They have one clerk. What if the clerk's away? Do you really want to have that kind of stress? When you have a team behind you, yeah, there's an infrastructure, but on the same token, it's smooth sailings and you don't have to worry about that. And there is a premium for that. But on the same token, how much are you haggling here? Like when you're not talking here tens of thousands of dollars, like we're really talking here sometimes $50, $100, $200. The people who are going to bring it home, search your title, close your transaction. Do you want to have the best? Do you want the professionals doing that? And you're within $100 here or there, or do you really want to save a couple bucks when you're paying $50,000 in land transfer tax? Like the numbers are so negligible. It's funny, but I kind of feel like the most key service, they don't want to pay. Imagine like going to your dentist and like, I need a root canal. Can you do it for $20? I don't want a root canal for $20. What, are you going to go to the dentist off Kijiji? Like it's not going to happen, right? So there's certain things people have a premium for. Again, a home, your house is your most valuable asset. It is the biggest purchase you're going to do of your life savings, your blood, sweat, and tears are in it. Don't you want the best realtor? Don't you want the best moving company, the best home inspection, the best lawyer, the best accountant? Like seriously, like you're investing so much into it. Why would you do that? Like, would you go buy a Ferrari and say, you know what? I found a Kijiji tires that are 10 years old. I think I got one more season out of them. No, you're getting brand new tires for your Ferrari. Your house is a Ferrari. Like, take care of it. Service it.
10 Ferraris, right? It's like 10 Ferraris and then some.
I don't know what kind of Ferraris you're buying, David, but it's one of mine. But
I love this. You can see why Jonathan is such good friends with Elan Weintraub that we had on a couple podcasts, because every analogy that Elan gave was cars.
It was cars.
Great analogy, but it was all cars. And I think him and Jonathan sit around all day when they're having conversations, and everything goes back to cars and analogies. It's beautiful.
Everything comes back to cars at the end of the day. If you think about it, it's the most money you're going to sink in for the least amount of satisfaction. You got to service it. You got to think about it all the time. A car is like a needy infant, and it never ends. But you love it and you pour yourself into it. It's like a house versus a condo. For all of those of us that have lived in condos versus houses, you open up your door, you come in and you leave. That's living in a condo, basically. A house, there's always something. There's always something to upgrade. There's always something to fix, but you love it. It's a labor of love. Some things you get the money back out of it and some you don't. But I've told homeowners, oh, why are you thinking about doing that reno? Okay, you're not going to get your money out of it. You're going to live there maybe another 10 years, maybe 20. Enjoy it.
Yeah,
Live
do
a
it
little.
yourself.
Treat
Yeah.
yourself. Why not? And guess what? When you go to
All the
resell it,
time.
people will notice every little thing. When you fix the cracking in your ceiling, and when you change your door handles, and you put a fresh coat of paint and a fresh thing of grass, guess what? People notice this stuff. And it shows you take pride in your home and you get to enjoy your life. So just do it. But some people will nick and dime themselves, and some people say, you know what? I'm on this earth once and I'm going to enjoy it. So I'm going to put what I can into my car. I'm going to put what I can into my house. Certainly. So let's bring it back to marketing wise. So fresh realtor comes in and doesn't have word of mouth yet. They work their contacts and they got to decide what to invest in their business. One of the first things I ask them is, what's your presence? Are you on the internet? Do you have a website? Do you have social media? What's your brand? Did you create a brand? What's going on here? I know, David G, you guys work on this with your realtors a lot when somebody's starting off. You touched upon it a little bit, but you have somebody who comes in and they have no identity. Their name is Mike Smith. It's the most generic, sorry to all the Mike Smiths out there, but you're Mike Smith, and I'm a 5'8" dude, and I wear a white t-shirt and I wear a jacket, and that's it. I got nothing. Nobody knows me as a realtor. I got no website. Now what?
Well, real estate is one of those things that it's easy to get excited about, and there's just so much to talk about, right? So we see this all the time, the realtors that really crush it on social media, on Instagram, and, making TikTok videos, making boomerangs, special features of the house, Christmas lights, there's so many topics and so many different ways of getting people excited about real estate, right? And then it's easy to translate that into sales, right? You can book a preview into a multi-million-dollar house and go show off the kitchen, or go show off that tile that you love, right? Or go show off that backyard or the hot tub. And it's the possibilities are endless, but I think it starts with getting people really excited and passionate about real estate.
So let's say we got Mike Smith, and Mike Smith's doing boomerangs, Mike Smith's doing postings, and I'm trying not to counter you, but what I'm kind of adding in is, like, at the end of the day, to me, generic Mike Smith, it's a generic name, it's a generic person sending generic messages. What makes Mike Smith unique? What is his brand, for example? That's if I have a young lawyer, I'd say, what makes you different? Why will people want to reach out to you? What is your thing? And it's funny because, a lot of people use gimmicky stuff like, hey, I'm holding a basketball, I'm a magician. I'm not saying you have to have those kind of gimmicks, but is there a catch slogan? Like, to me, to build your brand in marketing, in real estate, there's got to be something which sticks in your mind and saying, I remember that person, they're memorable, they did this or they did that, or their message. You know what I mean? Like, what differentiates you? Like, from my end, like when I was Jonathan the machine, Jonathan the lawyer, the articling student, the associate, I'm slaving away people doing people's work. People know, oh yeah, Jonathan did my work, great, blah, blah. But that was it. It was never going to go anywhere in my mind, because all I am is I'm a slugging away associate that's never going to build his own client base, never going to have a reputation, and that's it. And then it's funny because when I started getting a reputation and started marketing myself, it had nothing to do with law. It had the fact that I like doing yoga. I like doing the gym. I'm eating healthy. I lost a ton of weight. I'm keeping it off. I'm into meditation. I have positive thinking. And it was funny because as I was talking to people, either those were things they liked doing or things they wanted to do, and that's where I got kind of that image. And then it played off, I'm trying to be festive now for the holidays, right? But, you got the chosen lawyer. I have that picture as a silhouette, and it started off as a joke, but people started knowing me as it. So I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to wear it. I'm going to buy in all the colors, and I'm just going to wear that because that's how people know me. And it works, whereas some lawyers will go around wearing a 3-piece suit and that's their look, So it's funny, whatever it is, it's just something that's got to catch and be memorable in it. And then once you got them, now you could show them you did a good job. And now you can have that relationship because they're like, wow, that person was really good for me. And I remember them. How many people professional wise did a really good job for you. And you're like, oh, that person who cleaned my gutters, and that person that paved my driveway, what was their name? And then you start researching and I'm like, oh, I found 5 different Mikes. I remember his name was Mike. How do you stay in people's mind, And it's like sending a message, keep sending that message. So Mike Smith that's doing TikToks and boomerangs, they got to keep doing this over and over. I like that, but also they got to stick in people's minds. So when it's time to buy real estate, they're like, I remember Mike from Boomerang because he did this,
Yeah, and I mean, brand goes much deeper than just the outside, right? Brand is about what you believe in, what your values are, how are you going to help the customer, right? All that plays into brand, right? And it's really important to go through those exercises at the very beginning and really nail down your brand on a very deep level, right? And add personality to it, because the personality aspect is what's going to attract other people to you as well, right? The other thing I would suggest realtors do at the very beginning after they establish their brand and as they're posting on social media is to connect with local businesses, right? And then Instagram, it's actually easier to do than most people realize. If you just click on search and then you search by location, you can see all the local people on Instagram and connect with some of those business owners, reshare some of their posts, support local businesses, and they in turn will support you back, right? And it's a great way to build your audience and a great way to build your network. You want local people on your Instagram account. You don't want somebody that's in Europe or Asia or North America, because I mean, they're not going to be purchasing local real estate, or the probability of them purchasing local real estate with you is lower. It's not impossible, because I mean, there's tons of foreign investments happening in Canada, but the probability is much smaller, right? So as you're building your brand, I would suggest you really connect with local businesses and local influencers as well on Instagram.
I think now we also have a lot more challenges than we've ever had. We kind of touched upon it last week, but it's the in-person versus the virtual. And I can tell you that from my experience, when I'm connecting with people virtually through Instagram or other social media, it's one thing. I'm thinking back now, when you're saying this, I'm thinking back to the archives 2 years ago, 4 years ago, 5 years ago, and galas, dinners, going to Starbucks, walking around the mall, looking in shops. Everywhere I went, I had business cards all the time, and I would strike up conversations with anybody that would talk to me. Basically, by the end of the conversation, I always handed out a card. And if I handed out, let's say 100 cards, 10 to 20 of them translated to business. That's a pretty good success rate. And I made sure that I was always schedule myself 1 or 2 things a week. I don't care if it's finding somebody on LinkedIn and scheduling a coffee with them, a lunch with them, going to a builder's opening and setting up a booth, and then scheduling lunches from there. But I was constantly doing this networking in-person thing and being in people's faces. And it's still the most effective. But especially for somebody starting off now, it's a real challenge because, staying at home, social distancing, businesses are open, not open, people are there, not there. You have a lot more challenges now to try to build up that in person. I know from a real estate standpoint for realtors, doing cold call, door knocking, right? And in these conditions, I don't know if people are still doing that. I don't know if people want, with masks and everything, if people knocking on their doors, right?
Like that's the way you would have told someone not that long ago, even like 10 years ago, starting out, go farm an area, right? Go pick an area and go door to door, farm your area, go door to door, knocking on the doors, leaving a pamphlet, leaving a business card, circling back, talking to those people, right? So you can't tell a new realtor to go do that right now, I don't think, right, David?
No, I mean, we discourage it. I mean, it's not the environment to really do that unless you have a reason to go knock in a certain neighborhood, right? We don't want to encourage people to put anybody else at risk. And I mean, safety is the number one priority for everybody concerned. If a house sells in a neighborhood and you have a hot client who really wants to be on that street, I think if you take certain safety precautions, you can go knock on certain doors. But we certainly don't promote that as a fun foundation for business development right now.
So I'm thinking in my head now, what is the starting point and what's the ending point of marketing? And when I made this list for us to discuss some points I wanted to touch upon, you're starting off with word of mouth and branding. And then I'm looking at the last point, but the last point almost is the first point. It's at the end of the day, because in my totality, it's how do you measure success? What do you want your marketing to achieve? And I think actually in some ways that's the first point, because if you don't start, when I set out for my goals in life, personal and professional, I don't set out with a bunch of steps. I actually start off with my result. I look at the result. I think about the result I want, and then I break out the workable steps to get me to that result. And I think the problem with a lot of people when they are creating goals, especially in marketing, is they don't actually have that end result firmly in their minds. They don't know how to measure success, and they don't know what success is, what is the goal. And they're just saying, I'm going to do a bunch of stuff. I'm going to be on the internet. I'm going to put a bunch of ads up. But what are you trying to achieve? What would you like? Do you want X number of clients? What type of clients do you want? How much sales do you want? What are your goals in it? And I think in general, whether it's in marketing or in life, you need to start off with a foundation saying, here's what I got to achieve. Write down that goal. Look, I don't care if you got to scribble on your kitchen wall and look at it every single day and saying to yourself, 2022, I'm going to achieve this. Even saying, I'm going to achieve X number of commissions. I'm going to have X number of clients. And then work your way and saying, how am I going to do it? Because then you're working towards something and you're more likely going to achieve it or beat it if you set it out to yourself.
Yeah. And I mean, I think it goes back to our business planning conversation that we had at the beginning of last session as well. I mean, this is really no different, right? You got to plan. You have to write down and work towards a plan. And, for marketing, for me, it's all about prospecting at the end of the day and I always break it down. I always say it's a marketing, it's a numbers game, right? So, if you want to do 5 sales a month, how many appointments do you need to book, to sign 5 listings or to sign 5 buyer clients, right? And then what does it take to get those, appointments, right? So you always have to break down the numbers and work towards something. But starting with the end and working to the beginning is absolutely great advice.
Well, it's goal setting 101, right? And part of goal setting, doesn't matter what business you're in, law firm, brokerage, and name any other business, same principles apply. You set a goal, but part of the key to goal setting is you want to make the goal realistic too, because you want to set yourself up for success. You don't want to set yourself up for failure. And if you put the goalposts up too high, you're setting yourself up for failure. No matter how hard you work and how many you just may not get there. You're never going to feel good. So better to set a realistic goal, achieve that goal, and then move the bar again, right? And keep going to the next level. You always want that, but don't set yourself up for failure. Anybody needs to have some success, right? You got to get a few of those wins. If you've been knocked on it in the old days, you knocked on 100 doors. You're not going to feel good until you got one that says, yeah, I'm going to use your service. And now you got energy. Now you got momentum. Now it works. The plan works. Now, okay, next month, I want to get 2 people, right? So baby steps, realistic goals that you can achieve so you can feel good about it.
Go ahead, David.
Sorry, thanks. So the biggest thing I can impress upon people is like when you look at a successful agent, right? Or you look at a successful law firm and you look at the business or the amount of business that a realtor is doing, and you say to yourself, oh my God, I want to be like that agent, right? A lot of people did not see the hard work it took to get there, right? They just see the success and they're like, I want it, right? But they're not willing to do the hard work to get to that level of success, right? And I mean, Elon Musk, I love Elon and what he does and how he approaches his business. But the bottom line is the guy is a pure workaholic, right? And he had a tweet the other day and he laughed. He said something like, people are calling me lucky. Meanwhile, like 15 years later, I'm still working 7 days a week, putting in 16-hour days, right? And pushing the boundaries on everything I do, but yet I'm lucky. Right. So the same principle applies to like any successful business or any successful agent. It's so easy to judge that agent, say, oh my God, look, he's working 4 hours a week and he's doing $500,000 in sales a year, and he has it so easy. But nobody saw how much work they put in over the last 10, 15, 20 years to get to that level, to have the experience, to have the systems, to have the team behind them where they can, have that lifestyle and have that level of success, right? You have to be able to put in the hard work.
And that's where, again, we talked about last week. It was, are you doing this on your own? Do you have a team? Do you have systems? Do you have all these things in place for success? Starting off with your branding, and then your presence on the internet, your word of mouth, everything else, who you are, your identity. But it's funny because no matter the size of the company, if it's a person starting off or a giant Coca-Cola size company, the one thing I always think in my head is, okay, what is the most valuable thing in marketing? And the most valuable thing in my mind at the end of the day is the leads. We've all watched Glengarry Glen Ross and other movies about marketing. And when you're a salesperson and you want to have sales, you want to close sales, those leads are your lifeline, And what blows my mind in our respective industries, whether it's a lawyer, it's a realtor, any industry really, if you're lucky enough to get that lead, what are you doing with the lead and how are you closing the lead, And people that don't respond to leads at all blows my mind, okay? And I've been there, whether I'm buying tires, whether I'm getting my gutters cleaned, whatever. And I'm reaching out to companies and I have 3-5 companies. I'm lucky usually if 1 or 2 get back to me. That's insane. Somebody's coming to you, take my money, please, please take it. It's here. It's in my wallet. I want to give it to you. And they're not even bothering to get back to you. So here you got a lead and you don't even want to touch it. So right there, that's a big problem. I don't even know why you're in business at this point, because you got to deal with your leads, So then your question is, what systems do you have in place? Do you get back to them instantly? Do you get back to them within an hour, a day, whatever? How do you respond to them? And it's that conversion rate, it's that communication that really sets you apart, because you're setting the tone from the second they've reached out to you, and the way you respond to them, that's going to set the tone of how, if they're going to decide whether they're going to work with you, they trust you, they're going to give you their money, and if they're going to come back to you. And if you create an awesome experience from the first moment, because I know for myself as a lawyer, one of the first messages I usually get back when I communicate with a prospect, oh, wow, you're so responsive. Thank you so much for getting back to me right away. They're blown away. I message people back at 10 o'clock at night, 11 o'clock at night, and they're like, I didn't think you'd get back to me the next day. I know what's going to happen. If I don't respond back that night, by the time I'd respond back at noon when I feel like it, they've already gone to somebody else. Oh, I'm so sorry. In the meantime, somebody else reached back to me. Oh, I'm so sorry. My friend recommended somebody else in the meantime. You got to lead. It's a hot potato. It's burning in your hand. You need to release it. You need to deal with it. And so right away, when you set that expectation, they're like, okay, this person's responsive. I have some trust now. Now there's a little bit of back and forth. Money generally is going to be negligible at this point. They're like, okay, I can see they're communicating, they're answering my questions, they're making themselves available for a phone call. That's it, and this is the best marketing you can do, is converting your leads.
Jonathan, it's a big problem in business, and the real estate industry is no exception. We're working on developing a program right now at the brokerage level. We have 235 agents, right? And some of our agents get really busy, and responding to leads is always an issue. So we're actually working on developing a funnel system where if a realtor gets a lead and they know they won't respond to it, they could send it to an email address, leads@suttonsummit.ca, and we will just forward that lead to an agent that will respond to it, and then they share commission, right? Yep. But if you can imagine this happening on a large scale, right? I don't want those leads to be wasted. Those are consumer inquiries, and they're important. And it's important that we address them in a really timely manner. So if a realtor is too busy or is on vacation or, is completely overwhelmed, I want to develop a system where, we can translate some of that business into the realtors that, have the time to service the customers and get back to them with an inquiry.
And that's a fabulous system. I'm sure all the agents would be happy to share a commission and still get something than to lose it, let them walk and go down the street to another brokerage. Right. And we have to do, we do a similar system in our office too. Like we can't, we're talking about marketing. Jonathan and I are the only 2 partners at our firm, but we can't market. It has to be Jonathan or it has to be David working on your files. because we can't possibly respond to everybody the way we are. So we have to have a system also that says, no, when you hire Jonathan, you're buying a whole team. If Jonathan can't, there's another associate lawyer on every file. There's a senior law clerk on every file. There's always someone that can get back to you that's part of our team. You're buying a team of service, because we don't want them to go down, down the street to another lawyer also. So, that's part of success, right? Success of you as the agents. You can't take everything on themselves. That's fabulous. You found a system. Keep it in-house. Keep providing a level of service, and I'm sure the agents are happy to split a commission that way.
And at Korman's, similar to your leads email address, ours is contact@Kormans, and it comes to me. And what we've done marketing meetings with our lawyers, and we made the decision that when a lead comes in, a lawyer is dealing with it. So if I can respond back, I respond back right away. It'll be David, or it'll be one of the associates. But I make the decision as soon as it comes, I'm dealing with it, or somebody else is dealing with it. Or sometimes it's an area that somebody else may be very comfortable with, or what be it. So bottom line, a lawyer's contacting them. So like, okay, there's trust there, because I'm not just being handed off to a marketing company or something. It's the actual company. But then from there, you have a Jonathan file. It's not just Jonathan, it's another lawyer, and it's a clerk, like David was saying. So you're getting like two lawyers for the price of one. But on the same token, if somebody's not available, somebody's sick, somebody's on vacation, whatever it is, they're available. And it's so great that you guys are doing that, because at the end of the day, if an agent's too busy, like if I was too busy that I have meetings back to back, I can forward that email. You're forwarding that email as well. The person is getting responded to. That's key.
And it's the reputation of the brokerage as well, right? So when a consumer messages, any agent at Sutton Summit Realty, I want them to get a response, and I want them to get a consistent level of service, right? To the point where if they see a Sutton Summit sign on the front lawn, they know that their inquiries are going to be met, their phone calls are going to be answered. If they want to view the property, they're going to, have a timely appointment, and they're going to want to work with a Sutton Summit agent because there's going to be consistent level of service, right? And we all know agents that, are really big, successful agents. And when a lead comes in for a lease, they're like, you know what, like, I can't service that lead because I'm just too busy working on my other clients. Well, we still want that lead to be serviced, right? We still want that inquiry to be answered in a timely manner. And we know that those leads for leases eventually will turn into homeowners, and we're turning into bigger leads, right? But they need to be addressed in a timely manner. They need to be serviced. They need to be nurtured. They need to be addressed.
Right. So you're still encouraging that agent. You still bring that in, even if you can't do it. Someone else will do it. There's always someone else available. There's a younger, hungrier, not as busy agent that can take that over. And the agent bringing that in can still get something for it. Still worth their while to do it.
Yeah, look, I was a realtor, doing full-time real estate for a really long time too. And, I found myself sometimes in that same sort of mentality. I'll never forget when I first took over the office and I looked at numbers. I love numbers. I love analyzing numbers. Right now, that agent is our number one agent. He's going to be at over $800,000 in commissions. I remember I looked at his numbers, and 55% of his total sales were leases. And I just couldn't believe it.
A lot of leases.
A lot of leases, right? But if you guys think about it from a business point of view, it's consistent income, right? He probably manages, a large portfolio of properties for his investor clients, and that's how he gets these repeat leases, right? But, he buys and sells properties. These guys are always transacting. There's always business there for him. He's never not busy, and it's consistent income. And it makes up, at that point, it was 55% of his total business. And he had a record year that year as well. I think he had earnings in the $400,000 range a couple of years ago, and the majority of it was leases. And guys, you cannot discount those leads. There are leads, they will turn into homeowners eventually. They just need the right guidance along the way.
And on that token, it comes down to, if you think about everybody in society, no matter what your job is, no matter what you do, if you think about it, we all have the potential, and for all the people watching this right now, you have the potential every single day when you're connecting with somebody, whether it's at work, at home, friends, and they tell you about something going on in their lives. You have the choice every time of not referring somebody, because I was in a marketing group and they don't like using the word referrals. It's called introductions. You're introducing somebody, you're opening a door for somebody. So if you think about it, I have a really good experience with this realtor. I have a really good experience with this lawyer, this accountant, this tire guy, this car salesman, whoever. Every single time you have the opportunity to introduce somebody, and somebody that you value their service, you value their expertise, you really enjoy working with them, you can now introduce one of your friends, your colleagues, and let them have that same great experience that you had, you know? And rather than going blindly into the internet and hoping for the best. And a lot of us, when we have a trusted professional that we know and we value their time, and we know, okay, they know their stuff, you know, we'll take their introduction blindly. You know, I can tell you, people come to me as a lawyer and they're telling me, you know, do you know this kind of professional, that kind of professional? And if I tell them, you know, I do know somebody and I send an introduction, they'll 99% they'll go with it, because like, I just do that. The same way a realtor has their lawyer, they'll go with their lawyer, you know, and it's amazing how that works. But I think people, you know, it's funny because I've had people I've gone to business school with, and I think about it, and they don't introduce other professionals. And, you know, it's not just about, oh, I'm not going to introduce you because I know you're not going to send me any business. It's not about that. Like when I introduce people, I'm not expecting anything back for it. I want the people I care about to be looked after and work with a good professional. So if I had a good experience, I want everybody else to enjoy this experience. And I wish more people would think about that and help their friends and colleagues, and not go and blindly and work with people and say, oh man, I got burnt. I wish I had known somebody, you know? Make those introductions for people. And you're giving people business, and they're putting food on the table, and they depend on those introductions. It's really, really key.
Well, again, it comes from that position of abundance, right? But it's important to have your goals aligned and network with amazing professionals, because then you're going to feel good about introducing them.
Yeah. And I think when you're working with somebody and you had a good relationship, you know, when you closed it, really close it, remind them, just so you know, anything comes up. I know when I'm working with somebody and we sign the final papers, at the end of the day, keep in mind, if you have a future real estate transaction, if you have to do a lease, an incorporation, a will, anything you sign your name to, before you sign your name to anything, think of Jonathan, call me. If I can help you, I will. Leave that lasting message so they remember that I loved working with you, but I got to come back to you. You don't want them going to work with somebody else and, oh, I forgot about Jonathan, you know, because I didn't remember that he did that. Leave the impression, try to connect, you know, happy anniversary on the purchase of your home, happy birthday, whatever it is. Try to stay connected, stay in their minds, because they've worked with you. They like you. They can keep working with you, but don't let them forget about you, you know. And people are so often so focused on getting new business. You're better off not even looking for new business half the time and keeping your existing business. Keep them happy because they already know you. There's a trust factor. It's easy. New business is harder to close. So get both, certainly, but don't sacrifice your existing client base. That's your bread and butter. And I think in our respective industries, lawyers, realtors, I think that they see the people as a factory, as a number, and number 57 is gone. Let's move on to 58. No, let's keep 57 in-house forever.
Yeah, and talking about existing customers, you know, we're really big on turning our existing clients into investors and helping them unlock even more wealth, and you know, helping them solve, you know, their life goals by investing more in real estate, right? And I mean, everybody is looking to, you know, retire early, or go on more vacation, or help their children, you know, purchase their first property, or you know, buy a sports car, right? Everybody has life goals, and we push this really hard with our realtors that, you know, you need to have conversations with your existing client base and turn them into real estate investors and help them build more wealth by buying more real estate. And when you look at, you know, prospecting in that way, you know, it really opens up a lot of doors and a lot of new opportunities, because like you said, Jonathan, realtors already have an existing relationships with people that they've done business with. So why not go and capitalize on that relationship and turn those people into real estate investors? And then they're transacting more frequently. They're doing more transactions. Realtors are less emotional about buying real estate, and it opens up a new venue to prospecting and to doing more business.
David K and I work with a lot of people like this. And when we look at our client base and you look at the most successful people, regardless of what industry they're in, they have one thing in common. They own real estate. When you are 30 years old and you own 3 to 5 properties already, the sky is the limit for you. Because again, appreciation, unlock the wealth. Now you have a down payment for the next property. It's a pretty simple equation. That's the secret of success for a lot of people. And it's passive income. And people are looking at it. By the time you get to your 50s and 60s and you own a dozen properties, look at what you built, versus being 50, 60 and having your one house and saying, what have I done? So it's amazing how people see real estate. There's a prestige factor to it. There's a good feeling that, a self-worth, but it also motivates you to work harder, to maybe climb up the corporate ladder, maybe go be into business on your own so you can keep earning what's called seed money. You can plant the seed into real estate, and that's where you're going to build your worth, certainly. So the most successful people I work with, certainly I can say, yeah, they follow that formula, David. And those are the smart, and they're taking risks and they're saying, yeah, you know what, I have just enough of the down payment and I better find a tenant and I got to do my business plan. I got to make sure that the money's jive, but it's worth it at the end of the day. When you have net worth, it's worth it.
And there's ways to do that, and then it's having the proper advisors, and we talk about this all the time, having the proper team in place, which is the real estate agent, the lawyer, the accountant, the tax advisor. It all helps put it together and find ways to use the assets that you have to your advantage, right? And why not get the appreciation and the value of the building you're working out of?
I love watching that factory owner that's rented their space. And they're saying at the 10, 20 year mark, what am I doing? And they go and buy their building, or they go and buy another building. And then and then all of a sudden they're going to buy another building and they're going to have another factory. And those are the smart ones. I have clients that they own through the family, they own like 10, 12 industrial units. It's mind boggling. And when you see what's going on in the real estate landscape and there's no industrial to buy and they own 12 units, they're laughing. They're just laughing. That's when you're not talking about being in the millions. You're in the tens of millions now, maybe in the hundreds of millions. And you're not going to do that by going and just collecting a paycheck. There are people that I know that have good jobs and they collect a paycheck and they make their 100,000, their 150,000 a year. They're living really well. But you know what? They have really good net worth because they invested smart. And with real estate, it's no different in stocks. I tell people, don't look at the real estate market as far as worrying ups and downs with your own portfolio. The long run, it's always going to be there. You hold it, you're going to be laughing. Economics have shown that. No matter what dip there will be, it ends up there in the long run. So real estate, stocks, same kind of mindsets.
Yeah, and even if the market corrects itself, David, we talked about the numbers of what would real estate look like if there was a 50% market correction, right? And what people don't understand is that you're using leverage. You're not using your own money to buy real estate. You're using the bank's money, right? So even if there's a correction, a 50% correction, we worked out the numbers, and over a 25-year period, as long as you're cash flow positive, you're still looking at about 100% return on your money, which is insane. What other investment is going to go down in value 50% and still give you 100% return over 25 years? Like, guys, there is no risk.
Right. And especially, the last factor, we talked about this probably every episode that we've done, is that we're living in the GTA, which is there's less risk here. Values just will not go down in this area. Everybody in Canada wants to live in the GTA. Every new immigrant that comes to Canada, and a few exceptions, Vancouver and, in Montreal and things like that. But everybody wants to be here. And once they're here, they want to stay. So the GTA is just going to keep growing and expanding. And people are going to go from one house to, or from their first purchase, their little condo or semi, to the next one, to their house, to their dream, and then to their investment property. But it's all going to be within the GTA. So there's so much pressure of people wanting to be here. The values in the GTA are never really going to go down. There might be marginal dips. It's going to go up. It's got to be one of the safest investments anywhere. And that's why people from other countries want to invest in the GTA. That's what's part of what's driving up these the price values is everybody wants to be here. So like there's so little risk of buying real estate in the GTA.
When people tell me, oh, Toronto condos are so overpriced, I said, you know what? Go down to New York City, go down to London, go find yourself a 850 square foot, 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom. Let me know how much it cost you. And you're going to come back and you're going to buy 2 condos here. So we're actually undervalued compared to the world sense. That's the funny part.
Yeah, I'm excited about the future of real estate.
Absolutely. And they're building. There's when you drive around Toronto and surrounding areas, there's a crane everywhere. So
yeah.
If they find a hole in the ground, they'll put a condo there. Guaranteed. They're working on it.
Yep.
All right, guys. Well, this was great. Guys, thank you so much for joining us. Everybody stay safe and buy more real estate.
Happy holidays to everybody. And Festivus to the rest of us.
And looking forward
Enjoy
to
the season.
2022.
Stay fabulous.
You had to end it like that, Jonathan.
I gotta show off my t-shirt if we're still taping.
I was gonna say that is your wife.
What the world needs now is more Marla Kormans. My kids made this up for my wife's birthday a couple years ago. And what a great message.
I love it. That's
You're
awesome.
a good husband.
How long have you been married?
40 years, 40 plus years. 40 and a half years already.
I'm almost tempted.
And we were together 5 years before that.
I'm almost tempted to do a whole episode about that because you know what? Honestly, that is just unbelievable. Congratulations to both of you guys. Seriously, you just don't see that nowadays. And I think we need to take more time and really learn more from couples that are together for so long.
I know next episode I come on, I'm going to wear a shirt that says the world needs more David Kormans. I proudly have this in my office at all times.
Can you make the shirt can you make it look like I have muscles too? Like
give him a 6-pack. All right,
on that note, thank you, gents, and thank you, everyone, and Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and Happy New Year.
Stay safe.
Thanks, guys. It's been fun.
Thank you.
Welcome to David and David on Real Estate. Join us as we explore the ins and outs of the real estate market and dive deep to understand the issues affecting buyers, sellers, investors, and businesses. If you love real estate as much as we do, sit back, relax, and gain an insider's edge to the exciting world of real estate. David Gorski is a broker and the owner of Sutton Summit Realty, a powerhouse brokerage providing guidance to over 180 realtors. And David Korman is a partner at Kormans LLP, a respected law firm specializing in residential and commercial real estate transactions, with offices located in Toronto, Mississauga, and Markham.